Calling this meeting to order. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Here.
DePena?
Here.
Graziano?
Here.
Nattari?
Here.
Rovell?
Here.
Strumelob? Mayor Melham?
Here. So just let members of the public know, we do have 4 mayor and council seated present, and I believe we have 2 on telephone conference waiting for Councilwoman Burke to join us. Item number 2, sunshine notice.
Pursuant to the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting was published in the July 6th issue of the Star Ledger and the July 9th issue of the Belleville Times. The notice that changed the time of this meeting, September 22nd, 2020, from the original publication was published in the Wednesday, September 16th issue of the Star Ledger and in the Thursday, September 17th issue of the Belleville Times. A copy of these notices have been posted on the Belleville Town Hall bulletin board, and a copy is on file in the municipal clerk's office.
Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will we confirm that we have?
I heard a beep. Do we have Councilwoman Burke on the line? Is Councilwoman Burke present? Okay. Do we still have Councilman Rovell and Councilwoman DePena?
Yes.
Wait, another one just came.
I'm here. Here.
Councilwoman Burke, is that you?
No, that was the thing. I lost you for a moment. I just call back in.
Okay. Okay, so we still do not have Councilwoman Burke. Next item on our agenda, item number 4, is going to be executive session. I'm going to eventually ask for a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing a shared service agreement with the Belleville Board of Education. Therefore, I need a motion to enter executive session.
Make a motion. Second it.
Motion made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're
Just-
also talking about potential litigation for negotiations.
We're also talking about potential litigation through negotiations. 2 items. No action will be taken while we're in executive session, but we will be muting the live feed and moving the camera. We will adjourn the meeting, we will continue the meeting shortly in just a few minutes. So at this point, I'm gonna have the mics turned off and ask Councilman Graziano to assist me in muting our live feed.
Okay, we should be muted. If someone could check on.
No, I muted here
No, I'm muted on the,
but that's not going out to the internet.
yes it is. I got the stream for the mics, not the cloud.
Yeah, but I'm muting that
But I do
device.
it here too.
Okay. So if Steve, if somebody can just check the Facebook or the website feed to make sure we have audio. Once we make sure we have audio, I'll entertain a motion to come out of executive. We can invite our guests in. It's gonna be a delay for a few seconds.
It's,
Yeah? Yeah. All right. So can I have a motion to exit executive session, please?
Make a motion?
Second.
Motion made in favor, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are out of executive session. If you're just joining us or you were joining us, no action was taken while we're in executive session. It was to discuss 2 specific matters. We're now, if you're following our agenda, we are now item number 5, which is the report of the manager. So I'm gonna ask the manager to be mic'd up. Chief, can you just remind them that they're in front of a live microphone? Go ahead, Mr. Manager.
So my report is somewhat brief tonight. It's certainly budget related. Last week, we received our 3rd check on the CARES Act. This is, we are gratefully indebted to our county representatives, our state officials. To date, we have received $833,000. that's the good news. The good news is that that 833 certainly wasn't anticipated, and it's offsetting the cost. It's offsetting the cost of these additional expenses that we had no idea that we would be hit with this year. So certainly it's good news that we received year-to-date 833,000. The unfortunate part about it is that this pandemic has cost the town of Belleville much more than 833,000. And that's counting revenue shortfalls and other expenses. So as much as we, obviously truly appreciate these efforts that we receive, it's been a very taxing year on us, and we're trying to do the best what we have. And also in this whole formula, you can't put a dollar amount on 66 lives that we lost here in Belleville to COVID-19. As of yesterday, the number was 66, and you can never put a price on that. So we continue to, come to work and try to do our best under the circumstances. And, it's good. The good news is that we are getting some of that relief. The only other item that I do want to report is today we started construction up at Fairway Park. And
wow.
This is going to receive a new basketball court. I think we're referring to it as a bitty basketball court with 6-foot baskets, and new fencing, and also in Fairway there will be a what's the green team refer to it? Community garden. Thank you. Community garden where you can rent out some space and grow vegetables, flowers, and all of the above. And a good portion of this work is being done in-house. Our DPW, who does a great job for us every single day, has risen to the occasion, and they are actually providing water service to Fairway Park so that the community garden can have water. So I will be able to give the council an update on this project at the next meeting, but we're off to a great start.
Any questions for the manager? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move on to the next item on our agenda, which is item number 6, the report of the mayor. Before I give my report, I just want to read a notice that I've been provided with. Tonight's meeting seems a little different. It definitely is a little unconventional, so I just want to make a quick statement. It says that members of the public may be wondering why the agenda looks the way it does tonight, specifically why the ordinances and resolutions from the August 18th meeting and September 8th meeting are on this agenda. Unbeknownst to the mayor and the council, at the time, the notice of the change of meeting time from 6 p.m. to 5 p.m. was not published as required by statute. When the township attorney became aware of this, he advised the clerk that the items that the mayor and council took action on had to be relisted on the agenda and addressed anew. That is why they appear on the agenda again. At this point, I'm going to ask our very learned counsel to basically explain to me, the council, and to the public what effect this has on the items that were introduced and passed on those dates, such as the budget, which was scheduled for a public hearing this evening. So, Mr. Attorney, can you just give us a little?
Yes, Mayor, that's correct. Unbeknownst to Mayor and Council, at the time those meetings were taking place, although the meeting dates had been published with the yearly publication at the beginning of the year, because the meeting times were changed on those 2 meetings, that had to be published and under the statute that requires it. We found out later on that Mayor and Council found out, I found out later on, that those meetings weren't, although they were sent down, the notices were sent to.
Yeah, I just want to be clear, it's not like we didn't, or the clerk didn't do her job. We actually did send the notice, it just missed the deadline and didn't make publication.
Right, and I was asked whether or not the fact that she sent them down there but not published made a difference. It doesn't, it still has to actually be published. So when we found out that it was not actually published, I advised the clerk that in order to correct that, the agendas or the actions, the items that were the mayor and council took action on those 2 dates had to be relisted and had to be redone as if they were never done before. That doesn't mean the meetings didn't take place, but the action on those items had to be redone. The statute, the state statute specifically permits that for corrective or remedial actions to be taken by mayor and council, as long as they do it, as long as this meeting was published correctly.
So there's a mechanism in place to correct the issue.
There is, and that's what you and the mayor and council are doing this evening. So as long as you do them de novo, which is a Latin term meaning anew, meaning you're doing it basically as if it never was done before, if those same items are addressed or dealt with the same way they were on those two meeting dates, it's as if they happened on those two meeting dates.
Right.
It's called, another Latin term, Mayor, you'll appreciate, is nunc pro tunc. Nunc pro tunc means as
You
if
just
it
cursed at
happened
us.
in real time, retroactive to the previous two meeting sessions. So if those actions are taken tonight, it's as if they were taken on August 18th and on September 8th.
And this is your legal opinion?
It's my legal opinion. There's case law right on point that specifically states it. Not to mention the statute in black and white says you can take remedial action, corrective action, as long as you do it, like I said, anew, as you said in your statement, when I used the word de novo. So as long as that's done, if those actions are taken just as they were. Now, understand, you don't have to take the same action. You're not required to take the same action. So if somebody, for some reason, voted differently then, don't vote it differently now, you can do that. If it doesn't carry now, if a resolution isn't passed tonight, and it was theoretically passed on that meeting date, it's what happens tonight that
right.
carries the day, not what happened then. So nobody is required to vote the same way. You don't have to have the same discussion. You can bring up something new. It's as if it never happened in terms of how you deal with it this evening. So I don't know if
Thank you.
anybody has any questions.
Thank you for the Latin lesson, de novo. It's the Latin word of the day. I think every meeting we should have a Latin word of the day. That's your job.
I only know, Mayor, I only know a handful, and those are two of them.
De novo. Okay, so I think that explanation.
Through the chair, I just have a quick question.
Sure.
So Steve, we have to re-vote on all this stuff. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yes, not only, Councilman Ravel, not only re-vote on them, but have, for instance, if the resolutions, or resolutions pulled off and you had discussions over them, you have to have discussions over them. The hearings on second reading for ordinance still have to be held. It's the same, not the same discussions, but it's as if you never did them before. So you're gonna proceed with them as if they weren't passed before. You can have new discussions. Residents were permitted, and that's why they're on the agenda, to make comments on them, and I believe some of them have. So yes, they have to be re-voted, but in essence, it's a new vote. It's not a re-vote.
Got it.
Okay, so without further, I'm very comfortable with that explanation. Thank you there, Mr. Attorney. So moving on to the report of the manager, I'm sure many of you probably know already, received a text message this afternoon from the governor's office expressing condolences to the township of Belleville for the loss of one of our native sons, Mr. Tommy DeVito, passed away last night, I believe, in Las Vegas. We've had some contact with the family. I'm told that the body is coming back to New Jersey. There will be a memorial ceremony here in New Jersey for Mr. DeVito. Updates, voting in person. I'm going to be creating a Facebook video and having a conversation with the public about this voting in this election. There is a lot of confusion out there on social media. People just don't quite understand it. There's a difference between voting in person and going to the polls. They think because they can go to certain polls, they're voting in person. So just to explain it very quickly, there is no in-person voting on the machine. If your goal is to vote on a machine, it's not going to happen. Not my law, not my executive order, all from the governor's office. There will be about 7 polling locations open in Belleville, and they will be for the disabled. You would have to be blind or deaf. After that, you would have to sign an affidavit asserting that you are disabled. Then you will have an ability to cast your ballot on a machine, in a handicap accessible machine, which takes about 20 minutes. because it reads things out loud to you and such. So if you're looking to vote on a machine, it's not gonna happen. Every single registered voter will get a vote by mail ballot. You have several options. You could take that vote by mail option, ballot, fill it out, and put it in the mailbox and hope it gets to the county. You can take it to a secure voting box, which will be located here in Town Hall, next to the police department in that vestibule hallway. Be a secure location. If you drop it in there, the U.S. Post Office will not collect it and deliver it by mail. Election officials will come daily to empty that box and bring it down to the county for counting. Your last option, or one of your last options, would be on election day, you can bring it to one of those 7 locations. All polling locations will not be open, but you can bring your ballot there and physically leave it there. That one is new, and I'm still looking on some clarification because some people said it's not entirely accurate, that if you do show up there, they may force you to vote provisionally. I thought that maybe you would be allowed to drop off your ballot. If you don't have a ballot and you want to vote, cast your vote provisionally, but no, if you do vote provisionally, that vote is literally counted last. After election officials make sure you did not vote by mail, they will count your provisional ballot. Basically, if you receive your ballot by mail, fill it out and bring it here to Town Hall, drop it in the box. That's probably your safest bet. But I'm gonna be doing a video outlining exactly what I just said. Census, we have about 8 days left to complete our census. We are falling short of my 70% goal. We're at 67.4. There are census workers going door to door right now that should beef up Belleville's numbers, but we are lagging behind both Nutley and Bloomfield. Nutley's 76.5, Bloomfield 72.1, we're 67.4. We have to break 70, we have until the 30th to do that. Yesterday we had successful COVID testing. So I thank the Board of Education for graciously giving us their high school parking lot for the second time. We had over 300 people tested. I do not know the results just yet. If you check our township website and Facebook, there's 3 announcements that went out yesterday. You can apply now for child care tuition assistance. Anybody affected by COVID-19 that has to pay for a child for tuition care, tuition, you can apply if you meet the credentials and the criteria. All's on our website. Free flu vaccine being offered by the Belleville Health Department. Please call Health Department to schedule an appointment. And we have a rabies clinic coming up on October 3rd from 10 a.m. to 12 noon at the fire headquarters located on Franklin Avenue. We've been talking about having our 5K race for Veterans Day weekend. While we have the okay to have it, we're having a little difficulty with our timing company. So that's still actually up in the air. So that really concludes my somewhat abbreviated mayor's report. Again, I told the members of the council we're going to look to kind of be efficient in this meeting tonight and try and go through some of the older items as quickly and as efficiently as possible. So without further ado, we're up to item number 7 on our agenda, which is item A, is the introduction of the 2020 municipal budget. Let me just begin. Item number 7 on our agenda really are the agenda items from the August 18th meeting. So we've already taken action on these, we've already cast a vote on these, but we're not re-voting, we're voting anew. So without further ado, the first item from the August 18th meeting is item number A, is the introduction of the 2020 municipal budget. There is a resolution that we all had, we've all gone through this before, so I need a motion to move it.
Make a motion to move it?
Second.
Motion made in second, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Strumelob Burke?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes. Item number B, approval of minutes.
Combined conference regular meeting of July 14th.
Make a motion to approve.
Second it?
Motion made in second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any abstentions? Nays? No. Ayes have it, ayes carry. Next item is item C, communications.
Number 1, request received from the residents of Hewett Avenue for permission to conduct a block party on Saturday, August 29, from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m.
We don't do anything with that, just,
Right.
can we mute that, please?
2, letter received from Mayor Melham concerning the 2020 and 2021 municipal budgets. 3, request received from St. Anthony's Church for permission to have a food truck on the church's property located at 63 Pleasant Street from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., Monday through Sunday, beginning August 19th until the end of the year.
Item number 4.
Letter received from Mayor Milham to Evangelina Kozlenko concerning the 2020 and 2021 municipal budgets.
Perfect. We're up to item number D, which is ordinances for introduction.
Ordinance number 1 for introduction, an ordinance to amend the revised general ordinances of the Township of Belleville, Chapter 8-6A, four-way stop intersections designated.
Make a motion open for introduction. Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Ayes have it.
Ordinance number 2 for introduction, an ordinance to amend the revised general ordinances of the Township of Belleville, Chapter 8-16, Handicapped parking spaces.
Make a motion for introduction. Second.
Motion made and second for introduction. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Ayes have it.
Ordinance number 3 for introduction, ordinance authorizing a special emergency appropriation in the amount of $513,915.70 for expenses related to the retirement of employees in and by the Township of Belleville in the County of Essex, New Jersey.
Make a motion for introduction. Second.
Motion made and second. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Strumelob Burke?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes. Item number 4.
Bond orders providing for the scanning project for the code department in the Township of Belleville in the County of Essex, New Jersey, appropriating $100,000, therefore authorizing the issuance of $95,000 bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof.
Make a motion for introduction.
Second.
Motion made and second for introduction. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Strumelob Burke?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes. Item number 5.
Bond ordinance for various improvements to the water utility in and by the Township of Belleville in the County of Essex, New Jersey, appropriating $550,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $522,500 bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof.
Make a motion for introduction. Second.
Motion made and second for introduction. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Strumelob Burke?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes. Ordinance number 6.
Ordinance to exceed municipal budget appropriations and to establish a cap bank.
Make a motion for introduction. Second.
Motion made and second for introduction. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Strumelob Burke?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes. Ordinance number 7.
An ordinance to amend ordinance numbers 3490 and 3492, creating personnel positions and adopting classification and compensation plans.
Make a motion for introduction. Second.
Motion made and second for introduction. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Strumelob Burke?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes. Ordinance number 8.
Ordinance to delete chapter 34 entitled Trees and renaming same tree removal and protection.
Make a motion for introduction. Second.
Motion made and second for introduction. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Ayes have it. Okay. Item number E, ordinances for public hearing, second and final reading. Do we,
You gotta open each one.
we reading the notice?
What's that?
We read the notice once? All right, let's read the notice once.
Due to multiple executive orders declared by Governor Murphy in an effort to prevent further spread of COVID-19, September 22nd, 2020 Township Council meeting will be closed to the general public. This meeting is being streamed live on the Township's website, www.bellevillej.org, as well as on the Township's official Facebook page. The public always has an opportunity to make public comments to the mayor and municipal council during public meetings. With this new format, if you have a comment, please submit it to the township clerk at kcavanaugh@bellevillenj.org by 4 p.m. on Tuesday, September 22nd, 2020. If there are any comments or questions on the ordinances for public hearing and second and final reading, please submit them as well to the township clerk at kcavanaugh@bellevillenj.org by 4 p.m. on Tuesday, September 22nd, 2020. The township clerk will read into the record your comments or questions concerning the ordinances during the public hearing and will read your comments during the public portion of the meeting. Please submit your name, address, and state your comment.
Okay, need a motion for ordinance number 1.
An ordinance amending chapter 10 of the codified ordinances of the township of Belleville.
Make a motion open for public?
Second.
Motion made to open for public commenting. Clerk call the roll. Actually, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. Was there any questions?
I did not receive any questions for this ordinance.
And that would have been questions that would have come in today for this?
That's
Correct.
Okay.
Or before this meeting, yeah.
Were there any questions that came in the August meeting for this?
Actually,
Yeah. You just said.
It doesn't matter.
Oh, I thought you just said.
No, this is
Okay.
happening as if it's new.
Can somebody mute their phone who's on the conference bridge, please? Okay, so we have no specific questions came in for this meeting on this item.
no.
Okay. Need a motion to adjourn and move for final adoption.
Make a motion to close public, move for final adoption. Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Ayes have it. Ordinance number 2.
An ordinance amending chapter 12 of the codified ordinances of the township of Belleville.
Make a motion open for public comment? Second.
Motion made and second to open public commenting. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Ayes have it. Any questions that came in for this?
No.
Make a motion to close public, move for final adoption.
Second.
Motion made and second to close public commenting and move for final adoption. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? No. Okay. We're up to item F, which are resolutions.
So we gotta pull it through, right?
Yeah, I'm pulling,
12, 13, and 14?
thank you there, Councilman. 12, 13, 12,
And I
13.
wanna pull 15.
What's that?
And I wanna pull 15.
Okay, so we have 12, 13, 14, and 15.
And we should be able to move 12, 13, and 14 as one shot, should we not?
12, 13, 14, yes.
Okay, so when we're ready to do that, I'll sit on it.
Okay, so at this point then, we're gonna have a motion to move the consent agenda.
So moved.
I need a motion to move it. We have a motion from Mr. Cosarelli.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Ayes have the consent agenda. I need a motion to move items. Steve, do you want to do 12, 13, 14, and 15?
No, 12, 13, and 14.
Okay.
That's the one I have to basically,
I need a motion to move 12, 13, and 14.
Motion.
so move.
Motion made in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No, I'm sorry. I'm gonna abstain on that.
Yeah.
You have to abstain.
It's gotta be a roll call.
Yeah, you know what, let's do the roll call then. 12, 13, and 14, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena? Graziano?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yeah.
Strumelberg?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Abstain. Item number 15.
I make a motion to move 15.
Second.
Second.
Motion made in second to move item number 15.
I
Clerk-
just want to do roll call.
Yep, no problem. Clerk call the roll? Figured that.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
No.
Strumelberg?
No.
Mayor Melham?
Yes. Okay. Normally, we're going to new business, then a motion to adjourn. But now we're moving into, the Roman numerals are getting, Steve, I'm gonna need your help here. The Roman numerals are getting, I think it's number 8.
Yes.
So we are now on agenda items for the September 8th council meeting. The first item is item A, number 1, approval of minutes.
Combined conference regular meeting of August 18th.
Make a motion?
Motion made
Second.
and second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Hearing none, motion carries. Communications.
One letter received from Rose DeVito, planning board attorney, recommending to the mayor and municipal council that 630 Washington Avenue and 632 Washington Avenue be declared a non-condemnation area in need of redevelopment.
Number 2.
2, letter received from Rose DeVito, planning board attorney, recommending to the mayor and municipal council that the entire township be declared an area in need of rehabilitation.
And number 3.
3, letter received from Valerie Lasky and the residents of Belmont Avenue, asking for Belmont Avenue to be quickly repaved and for trucks not to be allowed on Belmont Avenue.
Item number 4.
Request received from the Women's Club of Belleville to conduct a tricky tray at the Belleville Senior Center on Thursday, October 8th, from 12 noon to 7 p.m.
Thank you. Next item is item C, special action. Yeah.
Resolution authorizing the issuance of $513,915.70 special emergency notes for the expenses related to the retirement of employees in and by the Township of Belleville in the County of Essex, New Jersey.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion made in second. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Can't read your mouth.
Strumelberg?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes. Item number 2.
Emergency resolution to extend the 2020 temporary budget.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion made in second. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Strumelberg?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes. D, ordinances for introduction.
1, an ordinance to amend the revised general ordinances of the Township of Belleville, Chapter 8-2.9, parking time limited on certain streets.
Make a motion for introduction.
Second.
Motion made in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Nays? Hearing none, ayes have it.
2, an ordinance to amend the revised general ordinances of the Township of Belleville, Chapter 8-27, stopping or standing prohibited during certain hours on certain streets for the purpose of street cleaning.
Make a motion for introduction.
Second.
Motion made in second for introduction. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Nays? Hearing none, ayes have it.
3, an ordinance to amend the revised general ordinances of the Township of Belleville, Chapter 8-2.3, parking prohibited during certain hours on certain streets.
Make a motion for introduction.
I think I heard a second. Motion made in second. All in favor? Aye. Nays? Hearing none, ayes have it.
4, an ordinance to amend ordinance number 3490, creating personnel positions and adopting classification compensation plan.
Make a motion for
Right,
introduction.
amends the disaster control director and deputy municipal disaster control director. We have a motion made and
Second.
second. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Strumelberg?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes. If it's got to do with money or position or something like that, I'm doing a roll call. If it's just in parking, I'm doing all in favor.
Yep.
On second readings, I'm going to do roll calls though. So we're up to item E, ordinances for second reading and final reading for the September 8th meeting.
Want to read the notice?
No, you read it already.
No need to read the notice. Number 1, second and final reading.
An ordinance to amend the revised general ordinances of the Township of Belleville, Chapter 8-6A, four-way stop intersections designated.
Make a motion to open for public comment.
Second.
Motion made in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any comments specifically for this one? Nope.
No, I did not, Mayor.
Need a motion to close?
Motion to close and move for final adoption.
Second.
Motion made and second to close, move to final adoption. We're going to do roll calls on second readings. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Strumelberg?
Yes.
Excuse me, Mayor Melham?
Yes. Ordinance number 2.
An ordinance to amend the revised general ordinances of the Township of Belleville, Chapter 8-16, handicap parking spaces.
Make a motion open for public comment.
Second.
Motion made and second. Open public commenting. All in favor?
Aye.
Nays?
Aye.
Hearing none? I'm an aye on that. Hearing none? Ayes have it. We're open. Any comments specifically for this one?
Did
No?
not receive any comments for this.
Make a motion to close public and move for final adoption.
Second.
Motion made and second to close public and move to final adoption. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Strumelberg?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes. Ordinance number 3.
Ordinance authorizing a special emergency appropriation in the amount of $513,915.79 for expenses related to the retirement of employees in and by the Township of Belleville in the County of Essex, New Jersey.
Make a motion open for public comment.
Second.
Motion made and second. Open public commenting. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Any comments?
No comments, Mayor.
Nope.
Make a motion to close public and move for final adoption.
Second.
We have a motion made and second to close public and move for final adoption. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena? DePena?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Strumelberg?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes. Ordinance number 4.
Bond ordinance providing for the file scanning project for the code department in and by the township of Belleville, the county of Essex, New Jersey, appropriating $100,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $95,000 bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof.
Make a motion to open for public comment?
Second.
Motion made and second to open public commenting. All in favor?
Aye.
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 There was an email regarding the my ordinance. I don't know if this was answered or not.
Question was, it was obvious several times, so.
That's the,
Yeah, I
Not-
gotta take a quick break here. I'll be right back.
Recess?
That wasn't 4, that wasn't scanning.
oh, okay, I wasn't sure, I'm not sure.
I did see some questions about the expenses related to retirement, though. There are some questions on that.
That's related to the budget.
Okay.
I mean, that's the way I read it.
That's all I know of this one.
Yeah.
They received
But that's not in the budget.
That's not in the
That's in
budget.
the ordinance. That's not a budget line item.
It's not in the
What?
budget.
Okay, so,
Not happening.
it can be,
I'm talking about page.
I got it.
Counselor? Madam Clerk?
Victor Mafucci.
Wait, we're on,
Yeah.
we're in public for bond ordinance number 4.
no.
Right, it's for the next one. The questions I have are for the next.
The water?
No, the previous one. The previous one.
I thought it was the previous one.
The questions he's asking is for number 5 and 75.
The problem is he doesn't refer to anything
Right.
specific, so,
It's confusing.
Read it on public, regular public?
well, let me just go back to the beginning of the agenda.
Which ordinance are we talking about?
That's what I'm gonna go,
Okay.
tell you in a second.
5. I believe it's 5.
It's, actually 3.
I said it was about the employee compensation.
3.
He says that there's several times in several agendas, employee compensation is mentioned.
Well, he talks about the appropriation for the retiree benefits first.
Right. That's what I mean.
3.
Yeah, that's what I mean, 3.
Right.
So you want to go back and do 3?
If my comment questions are not stated at one of these occurrences, then please read them during public
Public
comment.
comment.
First appearance is on
It's 3. Not 5.
73,
Thank you.
Steve, I think he's confused because you're repeating everything that was
Yes.
said in the previous
That's-
meeting.
yes.
I don't know why it's on the agenda.
That's
Right, right.
So he's okay with us doing it during public comment.
Exactly.
That's what he instructs us, that's why Kelly put it on, actually on a budget, but
Right.
we'll read it during public comment. We'll read it during public.
Okay, so we have left off, we just closed public hearing for ordinance number 4.
Correct.
Or we opened public hearing.
Yes.
Do we have anybody on ordinance number 4?
No, I do not, ma'am.
No. So I need a motion to close, move for final adoption.
Motion to close, move for final adoption. Second.
Second.
Motion made, second, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Strumelberg?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes. Ordinance number 5.
Bond ordinance providing for various improvements to the water utility in and by the township of Belleville in the county of Essex, New Jersey, appropriating $550,000 therefore and authorizing the issuance of $522,500 bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof.
Make a motion open for public comment.
Second.
Motion made and second, open public commenting, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Hearing no nays, ayes have it, we're open. Any questions or comments about this? Ordinance number 5.
No, ma'am.
Make a motion to close public, move for final adoption.
Second.
Motion made and second to close close public hearing and move for final adoption. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena? DePena?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Rovell?
Yes.
Strumelob Burke?
Yes.
Mayor Melvin?
Yes. Ordinance number 6.
Ordinance to exceed municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a capped bank.
Make a motion open for public comment.
Second.
Motion made and second to open public commenting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any questions specifically about ordinance number 6?
No.
Motion to close public, move for final adoption.
Motion made and second to close public commenting, move for final adoption. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Rovell?
Yes.
Strumelob Burke?
Yes.
Mayor Melvin?
Yes. Ordinance number 7.
An ordinance to amend ordinance numbers 3490 and 3492, creating personnel positions and adopting classification and compensation plans.
Make a motion open for public comment.
Second.
Second.
Motion made and second, open public commenting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any comments, questions specifically about ordinance number 7?
I think so. Matter address. I think that's what it is, Bill. I think that's the major thing, is the ordinance for public hearing number 7.
I have a comment from Mayor Jaws, 95 Bell Street, and he states, "What is being amended? You do have 2 agendas here. I assume this is the same one from last month that may not have been properly advertised."
And what, okay, that was the statement at the end. What was the question at the beginning?
What's being amended?
What's being amended?
Anthony, do you have that at your disposal? Ordinance number 7. It's 5. 6.
Wasn't it the purchasing position, deputy?
Oh, yes.
Position?
So,
Um,
I have it. So we have here 1, 2, 3, 4 positions or 4 titles being affected. 3 of the 4 of them are reductions in the starting pay. One of them, a township manager, that used to be a flat amount, which is rare in our ordinance. Usually there's a range. The range is going from 150 to 198 after doing a exhaustive survey of local townships and seeing what other outside full-time professional township manager paid. That does not mean there's a $40,000 raise coming to any specific employee. It means that we are setting the salary range just like every single other title that we have that now allows the mayor and council to negotiate with the manager on a contract renewal. Those of you who do remember, Mr. Iacono came on board just over a year ago. He came on board full-time at the salary of the previous part-time manager. He graciously accepted that offer for 1 year. We knew we were going to sit down and renegotiate with him eventually. We have not negotiated with him yet, but once we do, that agreement will be placed on a resolution. The public will have a right to see it, hear it, and see a public vote on that. So I know the takeaway is going to be an increase, but really the takeaway should be 3 other positions that are being reduced. I believe if you add up the net amount of this ordinance, it's actually a savings. We've reduced three titles, and with the increase in range to the township manager, again, we don't know where that number is going to land when we negotiate with him, but it's a net savings so far. Is that the only question we have?
Yes.
Not
Okay.
to mention you saved for this whole year.
What's that?
Not to mention what you saved for this whole year with Anthony. You know, not having an increase and taking it.
Are you his attorney now, or the council's attorney? Or?
I like to point out discrepancies that come up, that's good.
Thank you, Steve.
That's great, especially if we don't go retro.
Yeah. Motion to close public, move for final adoption.
Second.
That's a good one.
That is a good one, isn't it? Counselor,
That was better than mine.
are you agreeing to that, Counselor, on behalf of your
No,
client?
I have, all I do is write the contract, I
Oh.
don't negotiate it.
Okay, because if that's your stance, we can start negotiating right now. I did hear a motion and second to close public commenting and move for final adoption?
Yes.
Yes. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Rovell? Strumelob Burke?
Yes.
Mayor Melvin?
Yes. Ordinance number 8.
Ordinance of the Township of Belleville, amending chapter 34 entitled Trees and renaming same tree removal and protection.
Make a motion open for public comment.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to open public commenting. All in favor? Any comments for ordinance number 8?
No.
Nope.
Make a motion to close public, move for final adoption.
Second.
Motion made and second to close public and move for final adoption. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Strumelberg?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes. Okay, we are now on the resolutions from the first meeting in September. Just gonna give everybody a second to look through it. I'd like to move the whole thing as a consent. I am gonna be pulling out 14,
14 and 15.
15 pages, 12,
14, 15.
pages 11, 12, and 13, Tommy. 11, 12, 13 pages.
11 to 13, okay.
This water's going down so good. I'll pour out the second one.
Mine is cold. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, hearing no other polls besides resolution 14 and 15, I need a motion to move the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second to move the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Hearing none, the ayes have it. We could do a vote on resolutions 14 and 15 together.
So we'll move it together and then we have to do a roll call, right?
Yes, we're gonna move it. Need a motion to move it?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Strumelberg?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Abstain. Normally, we would have new business, then a motion to adjourn. Instead, we're moving on to Roman numeral 19? No. 9? 9.
Done.
9. Okay, so we are at the September 22nd meeting. Welcome to present day, everybody. We did 2 meetings in an hour and 9 minutes, including executive session, and me lip reading through a mask. So, special action, item number A. 1, resolution to read budget by title. Sure. Yeah, I can't read through a mask.
Resolution to read the budget by title, whereas NJSA 40A:4-8 as amended provides that the budget as advertised shall be read in full at the public meeting, or that it may be read by its title only if, 1, at least 1 week prior to the date of the hearing, a complete copy of the approved budget, A, shall be made available for public inspection, and B, shall be made available to each person upon request. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Township of Belleville that it hereby declare that the conditions of NJSA 40A:4-8 as amended set forth in subsections 1A and 1B have been met, and therefore the budget for the 2020 shall be read by title only.
So that's
What do we
a,
need?
yeah, what do we need to?
Move the resolution.
So I'm always very confused in this every single year. This is the resolution to,
Read it by title.
which means what to us? What does reading it by title actually mean?
What it really means is that you're reading the title of the budget. This is the 2020 municipal budget. If you didn't do this resolution, you would be obligated to read every line item within the budget.
Gotcha.
Oh, geez.
So Kelly, this is us? No, we need a member and a mayor. We need a member.
Make a motion?
No, we need a
Second.
member.
I'm a member.
No, you have the script?
I don't have a script.
Well, then what are you doing?
All right.
Hold on, we need our scripts.
John, could you pass that?
No, only one member needs a script.
I know, but
Uh,
you see what.
Sure, we'll let you see it there, Councilman.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Ready?
Thank you,
So nervous. Okay.
All right. You have the resolution, so I offer the.
So wait, hold on, we moved the resolution, or no, we moved the resolution after we read this?
No, you did the resolution, now you just gotta move it and vote on it.
When did we read?
You gotta do a resolution
I
first.
just read it.
Mhm. You read it?
Read the resolution, but now we read the script,
No, the resolution has to be passed.
You have to vote on the resolution.
and then we go to the script. Okay, so I need a motion to move the resolution that it was read by title only.
Need a motion?
Second.
Motion made and second, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Strumelberg?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes. When do we read the script?
Now.
Now.
Mayor, if we go to
Go to where it says,
the section of the script that says mayor, we're starting with before I open the hearing,
you read that.
like midway down.
So the resolution is adopted.
Right.
Yes.
Now go, before opening.
Okay, so the resolution is adopted. Before opening this hearing, I wish to outline the procedure. Each person desiring to be heard would have submitted a question, including their name and address. We will recognize and read one question, comment at a time in the order that we received them. All questions will be addressed to the chair. Where necessary, they will be referred to individual members of the Township Council or municipal officials. Questions must be confined solely to the municipal budget before us. School, county matters are not proper subjects for this hearing and cannot be discussed or answered here tonight. I now declare the public hearing for the 2020 municipal budget. I now declare open the public hearing for the 2020 municipal budget.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah,
Wow,
she
I mean,
reads the comment.
that's it for now. So I'm assuming now we read public comments.
Correct.
I think we could do a little better outline maybe. It's very confusing.
Ready?
Do we have any comments?
We do.
We do.
First one from Michael Sheldon, 47 Floyd Street. I hereby contest the legality of tonight's public hearing for the 2020 municipal budget on the basis of the following reasons. One, the last three council meetings taking place on July 14th, August 18th.
Does this question have anything to do with the budget?
He's saying the budget's illegal.
It does.
Okay.
And September 8th, wherein the start times were changed from 6 to 5, were not properly legally noticed in the two designated newspapers in direct violation of OPMA requirements.
So we'll take one at a time, I guess. That's already been corrected. If you listened to our opening notice, if you watched all of our original votes, that's already been corrected, but I do disagree. July 14th, the meeting was not held at 5 p.m., was held at 6 p.m. So Mr. Sheldon is incorrect in his assumption that the July 14th meeting was at 5 and improperly noticed. We redid the meeting votes for the 18th and September 8th meeting. You heard me read a statement and you heard our attorney give an answer and justification that we were now legally compliant. Number two.
The inclusion of the August 18th agenda in tonight's agenda is the effective admission by the governing body that the August meeting, which includes the de facto introduction of the 2020 municipal budget, was illegally held. As such, all actions undertaken by the council on August 18th are null and void until their passage this evening. For all intents and purposes, this also implies that the 2020 municipal budget has yet to be introduced as of 5 p.m. today, September 22nd, 2020.
So once again, if you listened to the beginning of the meeting, we read a notice, we clarified everything. Mr. Sheldon is absolutely incorrect. Until he possesses and presents a legal degree showing us that we are wrong, we are going to stick with our town attorney's advice and recommendations on how to handle that issue that we all acknowledged and we have legally corrected. Number three.
By including the August 18th agenda on tonight's agenda, this then represents the formal legal introduction of the 2020 municipal budget. According to Title 40:56-84, the governing body must then wait a minimum of 28 days following the legal introduction of the budget for having the associated public hearing.
Not to sound repetitive, but once again, Mr. Sheldon is totally incorrect in his assumptions. If you watched the beginning of the meeting, you heard me read a notice, you heard an explanation from our township attorney. We believe we are acting in accordance with the law. Number four.
According to page 2 of the budget introduced on August 18th, the details of the budget will be published to the double times on September 3rd, 2020. Note that the budget details were not published to double times on September 3rd, nor on September 10th, nor on September 17th. You have apparently failed to comply with yet another mandated aspect of Title 40:56-48.
On that one, I think we do have proof of notice or proof of submission.
Yeah, we have the
Microphone, please.
I'm sorry. When I got Mr. Sullivan's comment, I checked with township clerks who provided me with the proof of publication, which on the bottom says Belleville Times. It gives a number, identification number, a fee of $87.42, and says September 3rd, 2020. Mr. Sheldon had previously requested invoices and bills, and I suspect he will request that again.
As this is right.
As this is right, and the clerk will provide him with that when it's requested, but according to what was provided to us by the publisher, it was in fact published.
Thank you. Continue, please.
By moving forward with tonight's public hearing, you are apparently knowingly and willfully violating multiple aspects of Title 40:56-84, and legal action will follow, including charges that will be filed with the OAE. Tonight should mark the legal start of the municipal budget process, which you can then proceed to follow as you are required to do by state statute over the course of the next 28 days.
Okay. Any other comments?
Yes. That's what comes into Frank and Tony. 129 Mount Prospect Avenue. I am strongly opposed to having the budget hearing online. Residents are denied the opportunity to have a back and forth with officials on any issue that strongly affects our lives. We have no chance of rebuttal if we believe we get a wrong answer, and we are denied the opportunity to witness our public officials' reactions. If we can go to food stores, retail establishments, motor vehicle offices, and restaurants with hundreds of people, we can safely attend a public meeting with few residents for an hour or two. Enclosed are my questions and comments for the 2020 municipal budget. I expect an answer after each question. 1. On what date and what newspaper was the budget advertised?
I think we've already addressed that with Mr. Sheldon, but we have a proof of submission.
Not proof of submission, proof of publication.
Proof of publication, apologies.
Everything,
What Kelly gets every time she has a publication, they send what was published, and at the bottom they indicate the instrument number, the fee, and the date of the publication.
What day was that?
September 3rd, 2020.
Got it. Number 2?
On page 3B, there is a line for employee opt-out benefits, but it is blank. How many employees receive these benefits? What are the amount of each opt-out benefit, and what is the total cost of these benefits?
I'm going to yield this to the manager, and then he can yield to his professionals if need be.
Yeah, so we have 46 people presently receiving opt-out benefits. Maximum is $5,000 based on their salary and contribution. I believe, if Judith can correct me if I'm wrong, I think we have budgeted for $180,000.
I get that, but why is it blank though? His question is, why is it blank?
The new format that the state has on its so-called FAST system doesn't allow you to put anything in there. It feeds from the system, and that information is not within the system. So it's a fault of the program from the state.
From the state.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Number 3.
Page 9, cops in school lists $100,460. Since schools have been closed for most of the year, was this money paid? If so, why?
Could I defer to the chief on the answer is yes, but I'll defer to the chief why.
Because they're gonna pay it, it's part of the package that they pay. They agreed, there's an agreement in standing with the Board of Ed that they will pay for the.
All right, he's not Mike. Can somebody just repeat that answer?
So the answer is yes. The answer is yes, they are getting paid. It's part of an agreement that is in place.
I think maybe people might think that these are the security guards in school. They are not.
They're not.
Which is why I think the question is, since schools have been closed, it would make someone believe that, well, why are we paying the in-house security guard officers? But these are not the in-house security guard officers. Those are paid by the school district.
Yes, and that wouldn't be.
So these are Belleville police officers assigned to the school.
The school resource officer.
Right, and they're still acting as police officers somewhere, even though,
They pay half.
right, but they're still acting as police officers even though school is closed. So their salaries have to be paid.
The Board of Ed only pays half.
Right. Okay.
If I may,
Yeah, please.
all these questions that they have are based on grants. This is not an appropriation he's talking about. This is a revenue that we receive back from the school board for providing this service. So the next few questions, because he's talking about appropriations, they're really not appropriations.
Okay, so when he says, was this money paid, we actually received it.
We received it, there's an offsetting appropriation.
The chief just said it was only 40,000, and why would it be 100,000?
So that's what the agreement is.
No, it's two, there's two officers.
Two
so
officers,
that's-
right.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Middle school.
So that's money that we receive from the school to pay half the salary of police officers that are normally in the school. But even though they weren't in the school, they were still being police officers of the township, so we actually ended up on the plus side of this deal.
Exactly.
Because they were not patrolling the schools, they were out in the streets,
Yeah.
basically. Okay, number 4.
Page 9, Michael Range Preserve Development Project, $100,460. Nothing has been done on this site. Was this money spent and for what purpose?
I believe, again, to quote Mr. Vacone, that's a revenue, that would be a grant that came in.
Yeah, that's correct.
So we have a grant for, and I think he maybe transposed numbers, because number 3, number 4 say the same dollar amount, 100,460. I'm sure it's not a coincidence, so, but that's a grant that we got to do the rifle range development. I know I've seen architectural plans, I know we've submitted it to the state.
We submitted soil testing to the state, which is phase 1, an environmental test has to be done.
So the money, Mr. Frantantoni keeps saying, was the money spent or paid?
It's confusing the appropriations with money we're spending. We're not spending
Right,
it, we're
so
getting.
Mr. Frantantoni, you're probably very well versed in municipal budgets, but you are confusing the expenditures from appropriations. The income from expenditures. These are incomes. We're getting this money, we're not spending it. Number 5.
Page 9, developers contribution received $25,000 for 2019. For one developer, anticipated for 2020, $50,000, anticipated from who?
Mr. Manager? I kind of thought we were ready for these answers.
This is number 8 or number 9?
5.
It's the BIOV, Belleville
It's the-
NCB
yeah.
LLC.
Right.
Why, just, Judy, just say.
I need you guys to speak in the microphone. Thank
It's the
you.
Belleville.
Oh, mic's on.
Green.
It's the Belleville MCB LLC contribution.
That doesn't help me much. Is that that's Belmont.
It's about Belmont.
That's Belmont. That's the Belmont developer, $25,000 was probably a down payment. They're also paying another $50,000 going for our commuter parking lot at the St. Anthony's Church. Again, income.
And then there's a third in the future.
Right, there's more money coming. Yep. Number 6.
Page 9, Essex County Recreation Open Space Grant, $150,000 for what project?
I believe that is Fairway Park.
That is Fairway Park, sir.
So again, that's money coming in, Fairway Park. You heard from the manager today that project has already started. Again, it's all income coming into us. Number 7.
Page 9A, developers contribution, Terry Street, $200,000 for 2020. Have any funds been received from the Terry Street developer for 2019 or 2018?
I believe there have been funds received.
And it has nothing to do with this budget, though.
Has nothing to do with this budget. So what's page 9A then?
No, that's a revenue. We already said $100,000, they promised $100,000 more. And that's supposed to be released sometime this year.
You said it's not part of this budget though.
No, the second question about 2018 and 2019.
Oh, right. So that is Terry Street. Yes, we did receive money. It was $100,000 and,
2 in the budget, we received 1.
In escrow.
The other one.
okay. 2 in the budget, we received 1, we got 1 coming.
Right.
Yes. Have any funds in 1918? I don't know about 1918. But that's not on the budget, so. Number 8.
Page 10, developers agreement anticipated for 2019, $212, $500. Received for 2019, $112,500. Anticipated for 2020. Who is the developer?
Do we have that answer?
Joe, you said go back and read, to see things like, would it be okay for Joe to address that?
Sure, if you could just speak very loudly. He's not mic'd.
About
We
the,
have, in that packet that you have, there's 3 different checks that came in, one for 100,000, one for 10,000, one for 2,500.
I think it's this one, right?
Yes.
You want to just read it?
That was before my time, so that's why I'm having Joe,
Thank you.
So in 2019, we anticipated 212, but we only got in 2019 112.
This is the sales.
and we're anticipating in 2020 zero, so we're missing $100,000.
100,000 you collected in 18.
100,000 was collected in 18, that's why, Mr. Frantantoni. Thank you. December of 18, the first 100,000 came in. In 19, they made good on the rest of the money.
Right, so we technically should have only anticipated 112 in the 19 budget.
Who was the,
And who was the developer?
That I don't know.
Just a minute, we have a lot.
They have the questions all the time, right? They did have the questions ahead of time.
Just tell us the name of the check, we might be able to back into it.
This one. No, that's the same. I'm sorry. Maybe we forgot it downstairs?
Some of that money is held in escrow, so we could have paid it in 18.
No, he said they paid 100,000 in 18, this was the balance.
But held in escrow, so we couldn't put it in our budget, because it's in escrow, but now it came out of escrow.
We have a check for $2,500 from HCS Storage.
That's the self-storage on the, across from Naninas.
Okay.
Tolfa.
We have $10,000 from the BIOV Belleville MCB LLC,
That's Belmont.
Belmont.
And who's the big one? There's a big one
We have the
coming.
$100,000 from the O&R Urban Renewal Company LLC.
School one?
The
That's School
81
One.
Stevens Street project.
School one project. Okay, 3 different developers paid 3 different monies. I think we're good on that one. Number 9.
Page 10, sale of town property, $61,740. What town property is this? Who is the purchaser? Was this sale advertised? Where and when?
Okay, there's $49,500. Okay, which was HUD lines.
One was Caldanza, I believe, is that sound familiar to you?
I need to-
Caldanza, I believe, for the small piece of property. Right on the-
Okay, 437 Watchung.
There were 2 pieces of property, one was, Watchung.
Somebody speak into a microphone, please. Please speak into microphones.
There were 2 property sales, I believe one was $50-something thousand and change, that was the, $55,000, that was Watchung. I don't know, Joe, the 61,740 doesn't make sense to me, but.
There was another $12,240.
That was a small piece of property that we.
Well, that was Cleveland Street.
Correct.
We sold 2 properties
And
this
that was
year.
13,600 in
Right,
total.
that's correct.
12.
Right. It was Cleveland, it was a sale of Cleveland Street property, which is a triangular piece.
Yeah.
That the township owned, that
Adjacent.
could not be utilized by anyone.
Yep.
And the other one was a, buildable lot on Watchung, that the township sold to the highest bidder based on an appraisal obtained by the township.
Highest bidder, so obviously it was advertised.
Was
and
advertised.
There was a bid.
Yes, it was advertised, we have to advertise them. The Cleveland Street one was not advertised because
Adjoining property.
it was offered to all the adjacent property owners for the appraised value, and that one of the adjacent property owners, offered to purchase it.
Okay, let's move on to appropriations.
Page 12, mayor and council, figures the salaries.
I'm sorry, Mayor.
Page 12, mayor and council, for years the salaries for mayor and council have been constant at $43,000. Why have they increased to $83,000 in 2019 and $88,790 in 2020?
I could,
Also-
I could tell you what didn't happen, we didn't get raises. So, Mr. Iacono, I'm assuming, Mr. Iacono, that would be a position of one person that works in the mayor and council's office?
That's exactly it.
It's a $40,000 position,
That's
which
exactly
is,
what it is.
okay, so there's one person hired, works in the mayor and council's office for $40,000, which actually this council created a new title and a new salary, less than starting salary of all previous employees in the history of Belleville, and that's the money that person makes. Also, go ahead, other expenses?
Also, other expenses for mayor and council have historically been under $10,000. Why did these expenditures increase to $167,000 in 2019 and are proposed to $55,350 in 2020? What were these increased funds for?
So I know Mr. Frantantoni was here when Mr. Tucci was here. I know he questioned this. I know he heard and probably recalls Mr. Tucci admitting that there was an error where he appropriated certain line items for technology, the $30,000 for software for iCompass that we use now, and a bunch of other things. Mr. Tucci, for some reason, had a wrong line item in there and put them in the mayor council's budget. He did back them out. Then he did answer Mr. Frantantoni this question, so Mr. Frantantoni's heard this answer before. He's just taking a moment to try and create a falsehood, I guess. And that's the reason why it's been backed out for 2019, because they were incorrectly appropriated to the mayor and council's budget. Mayor and council's salaries have been consistent for 20 years when I voted to actually decrease them 20 years ago.
Your fault.
Yeah, it's my fault, I know. Proposed to be $55,000 for 2020. What would that be? That's just, it'll be expenditures.
That's in line with last year's, because like you said, the 19 budget started off at 167, but in November, December, when you're allowed to make transfers, we transferred out, so the final appropriation for the other expenses was $54,500, and this year now it's $55,350.
For other expenses.
For other expenses. So
What are the other expenses?
whatever other expenses are related to the mayor's
Stationary,
office.
all that.
Operating expenses.
Okay, but it's historically, that's on par with
So it's $800 difference from last year.
$800 difference. Okay, so it's on par with where it's been historically. Okay. Page 12.
Manager's office, salaries and wages, $344,000. This is a $43,000 increase over 2019 and an $80,000 increase over 2018. When the mayor states that taxes are much too high, why are we being so generous with these salary increases? And please, Mayor, don't give us the bull that this is the first outside town manager. Maybe you are too young to remember Burt Kendall and Steve Puccio.
Too young, or I wasn't born then. I'm talking about in recent history. I've been here for 20 years, first elected. Yeah, I've been here for 20. I also remember, Mr. Frantantoni, the commission form of government, which I'm sure you probably remember. But that didn't last long, did it? So, 20 years I've been here, meaning I was elected 20 years ago, took an absence, came back. First outside professional township manager, no doubt. Generous with salaries. Again, Mr. Frantantoni always looks for a way to point the most negative light possible. He's never, ever given this council credit for all the salary reductions, for all the position eliminations, for every single thing we've done to reduce costs. Everything. We've created new positions at lower starting salaries in DPW, created newer positions at lower starting salaries inside this town hall. All new people hired come in at that lower amount. When we have people in titles at the top, we're actually amending the titles so that expecting they resign, when we hire a replacement, if we hire a replacement, they start at a lower salary. Mr. Frantantoni will never even talk about how many people we've actually been fired in the last 2 years or so. Probably more than historically ever in the history of this township. And those people who were fired, to the best of my knowledge, were never replaced. You will never hear that from Mr. Frantantoni. He'll just make broad brush accusations that we're giving out raises when we're not. Page 17.
Retro salary and salary adjustments. Explanation, please. Who received these funds and why?
Mr. Manager.
Judy, do you have that one?
I do, but I have to get Steve, I'm allowed to say that, I don't know Steve.
What call your names? You can't.
You don't have to, you don't mention names.
Maybe
Who
position.
received these funds?
You don't have to answer who.
Don't answer.
Personnel issue?
Yes.
Yeah.
But what is a retro salary and salary adjustment? Can we just give an overview?
It's if the salaries that someone didn't receive in the past, that's what a retro salary is.
And on page, I don't have the budget in front of me. On page 17, how much money are we talking about?
$147,000.
$140,000.
And why? What would create that environment where that would happen?
In other words, it could be contracts that were not resolved at the time of the budget preparation, so now you had your salary negotiations, you got your new salaries. So in anticipation of providing additional services, you didn't have the specific line item, so So now you have an appropriation that provides for the funds to pay for these new contracts.
Mayor,
Can you just put that microphone between the two of you maybe, so that we,
Mayor, I can add some insight to that. That was as a result of a litigation matter.
litigation matter? Thank you.
It was salary that was given to him.
What kind of litigation would that be?
It was a wrongful termination.
Wow, and did Mr. Frantantoni ever comment on that wrongful termination?
No, but.
When we got sued, when we had to hire a law firm to fight this, and when we lost the case, or when we got ordered to pay, did Mr. Frantantoni ever complain about that? I don't believe so.
No.
Okay. So there's your answer, Mr. Frantantoni. Another lawsuit that we had to pay out. Add them up, Mr. Frantantoni, the last couple of years. I would love to see your answer on that one. Page 26.
New Jersey Transportation Trust Fund, $721,840. Are these funds for repaving roads? If so, what roads?
Actually, yes for the first part, but I don't know.
Answer is yes for paving the roads. Do we have a list?
Not available at this moment, Howard.
All right. I'm sure your office can communicate to Mr. Frantantoni what roads, but the answer to the important question is that it is for roads.
It's also an offset appropriation, because we get the revenue from the state to offset.
We do get revenue coming from the state, so it's an offset.
Right.
Okay, water utility.
Rents, the money we pay for water bills is $4,473,000, but this year there is another line item. Rents additional $960,000. What is this additional amount for?
Again, he's confusing revenues and appropriations. The 463 was the rents that we normally collect. The 960 is based on the increase in the water rates. So we're anticipating collecting through the end of the year.
Okay, so you've answered that question. Mr. Frantantoni is confusing again revenues and appropriations. Oh, appropriations are revenue, but I get it. Okay, page 40.
Removal of soil, dirt from DPW yard, $356,960. This cost was preventable. Did we stop filling water main excavations with expensive gravel and use the same dirt we removed from the excavation? This is how all major utilities operate when they excavate to replace gas, electrical, water, or sewer lines.
Continue. There was a statement.
Under capital budget, there is a line item for relining for $418,450. Is this for relining of water mains? If so, I agree it should be done as I have asked for this for the past 3 decades. However, there is a line item for lead service replacement for $4 million. I do not agree with this item. The property owner is responsible for replacing the service line from the curb valve to the building. The rest of Belleville's taxpayers should not pay for the owner's responsibility. I replaced the water service line to one of my buildings at my own expense.
Mr. Frantantoni, you brought this up before at previous meetings. I've answered you previous meetings. You either have forgotten my answer or don't care because you just want to pander to a certain amount of people that don't think we're dealing with everything fiscally correct. The lead service line replacement is a state mandate it's a federal mandate. If you want to get in your car, Mr. Frantantoni, drive down to Washington, D.C. and fight with Congress and the Senate and all the EPAs that are out there. We're under a mandate to replace about 450 lead service lines. We have to bond that money. We have no time left to do that. They wanted us to do it a year ago or 2 years ago. We have to do it. That said, Mr. Frantantoni, as you know, because I've answered this question before, we are actually going to be working in conjunction with the road resurfacing program, something that I know you would agree with, taking care of the infrastructure at the time we're doing the paving. I agree with you, Mr. Frantantoni. Lead service lines are the residential homeowner responsibility. I've paid to replace mine. However, in this case, while we do them, we are going to be assessing the water bill for a one-time assessment. It's going to be $60 or $70 a quarter that the homeowner would be allowed to pay over 20 years to pay down that $4 million. So you're incorrect in most of your assumptions on this topic. And this is the second time I've answered this question for you.
Finally, as the mayor stated in his letter to Mr. Iacono, we all seem to be concerned with rising property taxes. Then you should do something about it. Cut spending now.
I believe we are.
Most of our residents are doing so in their private lives.
Okay, any other comments for
Yes.
budget?
Daniel Drive, 95 Bell Street. Developers' contribution from Terry Street 200K, is that project once again being developed?
You've been here, Mr. Droz, for 2 years or so. It's all been voted on and done in public. That deal was dead 3 years ago. The former township attorney made an egregious mistake in terminating that contract. We were gonna get sued. We were gonna lose yet another lawsuit. That deal has been back on now for 2 years. It's been before this mayor and this council. We had no choice.
What is Franklin Park Urban Renewal 40K?
Another development agreement. Part of the,
Developer agreement for, that would be Tolfa? Franklin Park Urban.
yeah, that is.
Sounds like Tolfa, the property that's catty corner, Nanina's. There's a couple different developments there. There's a self-storage, there's the Wawa.
The check was from Urban Renewal LLC.
Yeah, but we don't know which it's basically a developer agreement, another $40,000.
Was that the senior center? I mean, senior?
That very well could be senior center. Yes, thank you, Councilman Ravel. That's either the senior center or the second wing that they're building. You're right. Thank you, Councilman Ravel.
The 40,000 tells me that it's the senior center, because that's our budget
Yeah.
to do the repairs.
Yes. Okay, so the senior building is, we call it the senior center. The first wing has already been built. They're building a second wing of 26 or so apartments, market rate. They gave us a developer agreement of $40,000. Every single previous council administration took that money, stuck it in the budget, and poof, it was gone. This mayor, this council is adamant that as we get developer fees, we do something productive with them. That $40,000 is being reinvested into the senior building, LED lighting, new floor, paint, whatever we can do for $40,000, since it's a local community contribution for that area. Next.
Due for more capital increase is up to $890,931. Why?
That's a result of closeout at the end of the year with the common fund that paid expenses for the capital fund. It could vary, it could be zero next year, so it's just an interfund. It's one fund advancing money for another fund.
Okay.
And that's what was due to us at the end of the year, and that's why we were able.
From the water utility?
Yes,
Or we don't really have a water utility, but from the water,
water utility.
okay.
We do.
Kinda, yeah. Okay. Salaries, wages, go ahead.
Salaries, wages, other expenses are increased. Finance department increase is $68,839. Why?
Part of that could very well be because this township never had a CFO. We now have a CFO. I know her salary is a little more than that, but that's probably part and due to the fact that this governing body, this town was run for many years with a part-time, several years, unqualified township manager, and no CFO, no real purchasing department. This town was really run like a candy store for nearly a decade. Now we've set the table correctly with new professionals that are qualified, professionals that are here to do the job. We never had a CFO in this township for the last 3 or 4 years, when interestingly, the previous one was fired and then sued us and we lost another lawsuit. If you're keeping track of all the lawsuits and all the payouts we've had. So I'm sure that is probably an offset. Plus, we did have an employee that was removed from that department and was not replaced. Mr. Frank Tantoni, I know this is not his question, but he talks about cutting spending. As employees leave, we're not necessarily replacing them. But now we have a CFO. Information?
Information technology from 10K to 31,500. Why?
Why? We were in the Stone Ages here for about a decade. A $72 million corporation with a $10,000 IT budget is ridiculous. You probably have a higher IT budget in your house or in your apartment for IT. $31,000 is still not a lot, but we've actually put about $500,000 into IT and infrastructure here in this building to bring us into the 21st century. That's just a normal increase, I think. Planning board?
Planning board from $5,000 to $35,991. Why?
That I cannot answer. Anybody can answer that?
I have that. It was actually a resolution we appointed
Thanks, Nellie.
topology as a consulting planner for the Belleville redevelopment within the township, and that line item was increased in the planning board to cover that.
And then eventually, I believe if that deal goes through, that's something that could be potentially be reimbursable by the developer.
Yes.
Okay, Health Department.
Health Department other expense from $130,000 to $183,168 explained.
I can explain that. They had to have an increase due to COVID, but a lot of that is actually being reclassed to the Corona, to the CARES Act.
So there was an increase there, most of it will be reimbursed through CARES Act.
CARES Act, yes.
Okay, construction official.
Construction official salaries and wages from $855,600 to $990,743. New hires.
So now we're playing the new hire. Usually we get initials and we have to figure out exactly who the new hires are. Again, I know nobody wants to take this council, this governing body seriously, but there are no new hires in the construction code department. So can somebody tell me?
I do have the hints, unless they're just actually step increases that were actually due. There are several of those people in that department that actually went up steps, and that's the compensation in those areas.
It's $140,000 for the steps.
Steps, there's a lot of people in that department.
That doesn't sound right to me.
Steps.
There's like 6 people in that department.
Steps, and there's also overtime in there due to,
Diane Hernandez's salary was also included in there
for a while, yes.
Yeah, you can't tell me that $140,000 of steps.
Mayor, that was due to a grievance, employee grievance, and that was during remediation.
That's part of the steps. I get that. Not $140,000 for steps.
There was overtime, I don't know all the personnel, but there was overtime.
And there was a transfer of an employee, you're right.
I believe one, you're right. I believe one employee.
One person, they told me to put overtime in for that person.
So I believe one employee was transferred. That employee, no names being mentioned. That employee's title though is a clerk 4. Clerk 4, if you look at our salary ordinance, is a fairly large salary. That employee went from one department to the next, but I believe that employee is also now retired. So we will not have that next year.
Right.
Perfect.
And there was, and also, I know I can't remember, there's supposed to be someone that that was doing some other work, that I didn't put some overtime. We don't even know if that's going to happen now, so I actually couldn't get less than that.
Okay. Dedicated water utility?
Dedicated water utility budget is up in operating and financial by $101,057. Why?
I can answer that one.
Sure.
Okay? Okay, okay. We actually, there's actually an ordinance that we're actually going to do an ordinance of the water utilities to actually defer some of the S&W and some of the operating expenses in the water utility. But we actually, we're doing less than that, so we actually have a little more money, a little more expenditure in the water utility. So we're going to have a little bit of an increase, and that's going to cover most of those operating expenditures. So we actually have to borrow less than the bond ordinance and kept more in the regular current operating budget for the water utility.
Okay. Capital budget?
Capital budget, I assume this is all bonding, and for how many years?
It's always bonded.
So we're bonding in the capital budget.
It's always bonded. And it varies the years that we bond for. Some things we bond 5, 20.
The useful life of the item will dictate how long we can go out for bonds.
Useful life of the item will dictate how long we go for the bonds. Okay? DPW?
DPW is getting a number of new vehicles. Is every vehicle getting a snowplow on it? I would hope these vehicles will be properly maintained and inspected every day.
Okay. Are you bonding for employee buyout?
Are you bonding the employees' buyout?
I think we've already, if you were paying attention to the agenda all day, we've already done that now. So the answer is yes.
Are you bonding the pension and health shortage?
I don't understand why he says there's a shortage. There is no shortage. I've paid all those bills already.
Yeah, we're unaware of any shortage for pension and health care.
Why do you need to bond $9.1 million when we are all short of revenue?
That's
the new bond ordinance that's on the agenda.
Right.
There's a $9 million bond ordinance on the agenda tonight.
Well, the question is, why do we need to bond it if we're all short revenues?
He answered his own question.
I think that, I was going to say that. I think you answered your own question. We are short revenues, which is why we're bonding.
Well, I would like to add though, some of those projects have to be done because we would lose like those big state grants. And you don't want to do that. You have to get those projects done by the end of the year.
Okay. Go ahead.
There is no end to the rising property taxes for homeowners and 30-year tax breaks for rich developers.
Thank you for your statement. The rest of this is for. Okay. Anything else for the budget?
For the budget. That is all.
Okay. So now Observing?
Close the public hearing.
It says observing.
Observing no further questions, I will entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Make the motion.
Second.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to close public hearing. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Strumelberg?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes.
Mayor, I have a resolution regarding an amendment to the budget.
The clerk will read the resolution.
Resolution to amend budget. Whereas the local municipal budget for the year 2020 was approved on the 18th day of August 2020, and whereas the public hearing on said budget was held as advertised, and whereas it is desired to amend the said approved budget now, therefore be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Belleville, County of Essex, that the following amendments to the approved budget of 2020 be made. General appropriations, B, total operations including contingent within caps, from $50,794,870.44 to $50,814,870.44. H1, total general appropriations for municipal purposes within caps, from $58,852,674.70 to $58,872,674.70.
I offer the foregoing
Nope, I'm not
resolution.
done yet.
Oh,
Hold on, thank you. 8, general appropriations. Oh, total general appropriations excluded from caps, from $12,170,565.94 to $12,150,565.94. Be it resolved that 2 certified copies of this resolution filed in the office of the Director of Division of Local Government Services for certification of the 2020 local municipal budget as amended.
That amendment was approved by the division, and we have approval for adoption tonight.
I will offer the foregoing resolution and move for its adoption. Second.
Do we need a second?
Yes, we have a motion made and we have a second. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Strumelberg?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes.
The amendment was approved.
The resolution is adopted. No more scripts?
One more.
Yeah, one more.
One
We
more.
have another script?
One more.
I like the scripts.
Leave it down.
No, my script is done.
Okay, it's my turn.
Yeah.
Mayor, I will read section 2, the adopting resolution for the 2020 budget. Be it resolved by the council members of the Township of Belleville, County of Essex, that the budget herein before set forth is hereby adopted and shall constitute an appropriation for the purposes stated of the sums therein set forth as appropriations and authorizations of the amount. A, $55,523,196.14. And E, $1,046,949.06. Surplus anticipated, $200,000. Miscellaneous, I don't have to read that. Second page? That's it? Okay.
I offer the foregoing resolution and move its adoption.
We have a motion made. Need a second?
Second.
We have a motion made and second. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Strumelberg?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes.
The budget is approved.
One more thing to read.
No.
Your script, the resolution.
No, I said that already. I said that on the last part.
You say it again.
They say-
The resolution adopted.
Yes, we go.
We need a better script. This is just one script for 9 different actions we have to take. Okay, so that's it with section A.
That's it.
We're moving on to section B, approval of minutes.
One follow-up.
Sure.
The budget will be down to the division now, the certification to the tax board will then certify a tax rate, so we'll be able to have our tax rate certified prior to October 1st, so we can go along with our accelerated tax sales and move forward.
Okay.
Great.
Section B, approval of minutes.
Combined conference, regular meeting, combined conference and regular meeting of September 8th.
Make a motion to approve minutes.
Second.
Motion made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Communications.
No communications at this time, Mayor.
D, ordinances for introduction.
Number one, an ordinance to amend the revised general ordinances of the Township of Belleville, Chapter 8-6A, four-way stop intersections designated.
Make a motion for introduction.
Second.
Motion made, second for introduction, all in favor? Aye.
Two, bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements in and by the Township of Belleville and the County of Essex, New Jersey, appropriating $9,165,000, therefore and authorizing the issuance of $8,941,250, bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof.
Need a motion?
Make a motion for introduction.
Second.
Motion made, second for introduction, all in favor? Aye.
Number three, ordinance amending Chapter 18, land subdivision, Chapter 19, land use procedures, Chapter 20, site plan, and Chapter 23, zoning in the County of Essex, New Jersey.
Make a motion for introduction.
Second.
Motion made, second for introduction, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're on E. Ordinances for public hearing, second and final reading.
One, an ordinance to amend the revised general ordinances of the Township of Belleville, Chapter 8-2.9, parking time limited on certain streets.
Make a motion open for public comment.
Second.
Motion made and second to open for public comment, all in favor? Aye. Do we have any specific comments?
No, Mayor, I do not.
Make a motion to close public, move for final adoption.
Second.
Motion made to close public and move for final, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Strumelob Burke?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes. Ordinance number 2.
An ordinance to amend the revised general ordinances of the Township of Belleville, Chapter 8-2.7, stopping or standing prohibited during certain hours on certain streets for the purpose of street cleaning.
Make a motion open for public comment.
Second.
Motion made, second to open public commenting, all in favor? Aye. Any comments?
No, I did not, Mayor.
No comments. Need a motion?
Motion to close public, move for final adoption.
Second.
Second.
Motion made and second to close public and move for final adoption, all in favor? Aye.
Three, an ordinance to amend the revised general ordinances of the Township of Belleville, Chapter 8-2.3, parking prohibited during certain hours on certain streets.
Make a motion open for public comment.
Second.
Motion made and second to open public commenting, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any comments?
No comments, Mayor.
Need a motion?
Close public, move for final adoption.
Second.
Motion made and second to close public and move for final adoption, all in favor?
Number
Four.
four, an ordinance to amend ordinance number 3490, creating personnel positions and adopting classification compensation plans.
Make a motion open for public.
Second.
Motion made and second for open public comment, all in favor?
Aye.
Any comments?
No, Mayor.
Motion to close public, move for final adoption.
Second.
Motion made and second to close public and go for final adoption, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Yes.
DePena? DePena?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Nattari?
Yes.
Robel?
Yes.
Strumelob Burke?
Yes.
Mayor Melham?
Yes. Next item on the agenda is public comments.
Make a motion open for public comment.
Second.
Motion made and second to open public comments, all in favor? Aye. We are now open for public comments.
First one I have is from Paul Parmentor from 40 Berkeley Avenue. He states, "Good evening. I and my neighbors are very concerned about a recent situation that is occurring on our street. For the past several weeks, parking on Berkeley Avenue has gotten bad, and my neighbors and I could not figure out why. We would notice new cars parked on the street for days. It was then we noticed that people would park their cars and then walk to Essex Park. We thought maybe it was a party or a barbecue. Things really escalated on August 25th. I have been waiting for 3 weeks to have a dead tree removed in front of my house by the town. Each time the crew would show up, the same car was in the front of my house. I was finally fed up and called the Belleville police. They found the owner living in the Essex Park, and about 30 minutes later, the gentleman walked up and moved the car. When we asked him why he parked on our street, he said that the golf course is no longer allowing them to park there. and there is not enough spaces in Essex Park for their cars. In addition, he said that if they park in the visitor spots at Essex Park, they get fined. My neighbors and I are calling the police department daily. The police show and mark the tires, but it is not enough. Once the street cleaning rules are suspended, the cars are never going to move. And what is even worse will be the snow. I know the mayor is not the head of the complaint department, but he is good at getting the ball rolling. I will continue to call the police, but we appreciate any help and suggestions.
So Paul, you're incorrect. I am head of the complaint department. And I've actually talked and communicated with Paul already on this. I've actually gotten some emails from some of Paul's neighbors. What was it, Berkeley? Also on Berkeley, I forward those all into the chief. Emails are great to me because I get a chance to forward them to the town manager, the police chief, to different departments. I've had actually conversation with the chief specifically about this issue there. The one issue that we have is that the residents of Essex Park, their townhouses, they pay taxes. They are entitled and allowed to park on the street. I'm gonna ask the chief, I think he's already doing it, his traffic people to conduct a little study just to try and figure this out. I do wanna say though that street cleaning, alternate side of street parking is not for street cleaning. It's just alternate side of street cleaning, and it is only suspended really when it snows. But I agree with you. I think we've gotten some complaints from some neighbors there. I'm gonna ask the chief again, I know he's already on it, to have his traffic people do a little study and then give us recommendations. We don't really do parking, resident parking stickers in this particular instance. Usually that's for streets that border like Nutley that has no overnight parking, and people from Nutley leak into Belleville at night, or maybe around a commuter light rail or something like that. But I'm open to suggestions, anything that'll alleviate the problem for the residents, and open for.
We've been strongly enforcing the 48-hour.
Right.
There.
So
Cars have been towed, and
I do.
Police, they're not bothering us.
People often think they're bothering the police to call and they're being a nuisance. They're not. The cops will mark the tile, they log it on the sheet. 48 hours later, they go back. They will issue a ticket and/or tow it. I had to do it on my block. I used to live on the same block as the chief. So the block that the mayor and the chief live on had cars, tires marked, and had tickets issued and cars towed, I believe, at times. We have to do it. But in the meantime, we're gonna look at that, and the chief will give us an update shortly on that. Anybody else for public comment?
Yes. Next one is from William Milden, and he lives on 16 Humble Street. Number one, why aren't people allowed to attend council meetings, but they are permitted to attend DOE meetings? Two, why is there still talk about amending the revised general ordinance pertaining to the four-way stop at Garden and Dawson Street when those signs were installed about 3 weeks ago? With the tax increase of $3,155,405.37, why don't you amend and rescind the mayor and council health benefits? This council meeting agenda is so convoluted that many people find it very difficult to understand. The one thing you have in your favor is that most people in this town don't know what's going on, and we hope they start finding out as they did with the switching of our PSC&G without our consent, which didn't go forward because it was illegal to do so, according to New Jersey state officials in Trenton.
It's not illegal to do so, and that's not why it didn't go far. So why aren't people allowed to attend council meetings? For the same reason, you need to direct that question to the governor through his executive order. We are limited to a capacity of only 25. I assure you it would be much easier for me to chair a meeting if we had live people here. I can go even quicker. But because of that, our capacity here would be 30. If you have an entire council seated professionals, you're probably at 15 or 16. We can't deny entry to people. If 26 people showed up, the 26th person would be denied entry, and we have to cancel our meeting. So we just cannot do that right now. Perhaps when the governor goes to 50 or 75%, we can look at it. We also have council members that are not comfortable necessarily being in public and haven't been seated here for months. Next, number two, talk about four-way stop sign. This four-way stop sign seems to be an obsession.
Because the orders put in, and we put them up, but it's not enforced until the ordinance is passed.
Right, we had this question last time when it was on second reading. The same answer is consistent. The order went in, the police department, these ordinances get voted on not once but twice. They've never in the history of me being around local government been voted down. Police department was proactive in putting them up. No fines or anything were issued. They're not enforced until the ordinance is passed. The ordinance is probably passed tonight again. It's a 20-day period to challenge it. If not, it becomes law. So that's the answer for that. Tax increase, amend, rescind. So, Mr. Milden, I'll tell you that there's been tax increases for the last 10, 15, 20 years when the municipal council received benefits. I'm not quite sure why the obsession is just on this particular governing body's benefits, because every previous governing body has gotten the same benefits. It's been there along with the subsequent tax increases that have gone there. I don't think we're going to sit here and pick apart every little thing that's done. It's been the course of regular business here for many, many years. PSC&G, it's not illegal. Nobody said it was illegal. That's actually not why it was stopped. Anybody else?
Michael Sheldon, 47 Floyd Street. One, now that Governor Murphy's most recent executive orders have allowed the Belleville Board of Education to once again safely use the high school auditorium for its public meetings, allowing stakeholders to directly attend and participate in the DOE meetings, will the council make the request of Dr. Tomko to use the same venue for its future meetings? Under the latest EO, the DHS auditorium can accommodate up to 150 people while maintaining safe social distancing requirements. This is every reason for the governing body to make this request of the DOE in the spirit of shared services and shared facilities. That is, unless Mr. Melham plans to continue exploiting the COVID-19 situation for as long as possible to prevent community members from directly confronting him in this chamber and before the public.
Mr. Sheldon, those community members are about 3 people. They were the same community members that were here before I got here, and they will probably be ones to be here after I was here. Very interestingly, though, the Board of Education had its only first open meeting yesterday, and Mr. Sheldon is a trustee. So they just had one meeting, and now it's time for us, according to Mr. Sheldon, to have a public. But the very interesting thing is that I attended that meeting yesterday. Very few members of the public showed up, number one. But number two, Mr. Sheldon went on a multi-minute rant about how he felt that the schools are not safe to be open, how he did not concur with Dr. Tomko and having children come back to school, how he agreed with the union, the teachers union, saying that the schools were not safe. So interestingly, in the first sentence of his statement, he says that the governor has now orders have allowed the Board of Education to once again safely use the high school. But Mr. Sheldon, last night, in his many minute long rant, went on saying that it's not safe for children. He actually went as far as to accuse Dr. Tomko of performing an experiment, something that thankfully Dr. Tomko tamped down on and immediately corrected Mr. Sheldon and took offense to Mr. Sheldon's comments about using our children to create an experiment. So Mr. Sheldon, you cannot have it both ways. You can't sit there and say schools are not safe for teachers, schools are not safe for students, but yet you want us to enter that facility to have a meeting. You just can't have it both ways, Mr. Sheldon. And again, just on a side note, I sat there through public commenting. The amount of, you would think that with hybrid education and all the issues they're having with education, the cohorts and all that, and all the parents that seem to be upset about what's going on and children are getting one hour a week of education, you would have thought a heck of a lot of parents would have showed up yesterday. 4 people spoke during public commenting. 1 was the union president, 1 was a teacher, 2 regular members of the community actually spoke. So I don't think the general public is beating down a door to get back into these meetings. I just think that Mr. Sheldon, this is part of his social life to come to public meetings, and this is what he likes to do. But as you can see, his comments are being read. He is participating in the meeting, and I thank him for his participation. Number 2.
Last form, Mr. Melham ran a water filters for Belleville website, wherein he stated on multiple occasions that the information provided by its respondents will be used to send a group petition to the New Jersey Department, the New Jersey DEP Commissioner, requesting that our office provide water filters to participating Belleville residents. With such a petition sent to Commissioner McCabe, and if so, approximately when was it sent? And Mr. Melham, the pitcher water filters received earlier this year with the help of Claire Moss have no relevance to this petition question. Please address the NJDEP petition matter only.
The beginning of Mr. Sheldon's statement, he says that I ran a water filters for Belleville website. I'm assuming that implies that he's acknowledging that it did not cost the township any money, didn't cost the taxpayers any money. Mr. Sheldon will not admit that I, at my own cost, at my own time, put up a website that allowed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Belleville residents to ask for a free filter, something that I went on a limb for, fighting with the state, fighting with our state delegation, fighting even with our governor at times, by erecting a billboard to advertise the fact that I wanted Belleville residents to get filters. Mr. Sheldon, of course, is not applauding my efforts for fighting for Belleville, for fighting for our residents, and doing so at absolutely no taxpayer expense. That website was put up by me. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people filled out the petition. The township has a copy of that database of every single person that was received. I instructed the manager's office at that time to send that to the state. I'm assuming that was done. I have every reason to believe that was done. But interestingly, Mr. Sheldon also then says that with the help of Claire Moss, the reason why Claire Moss wrote a check is because I went to Claire Moss and asked them for help. I went to several organizations and I raised about $50,000, was it, Mr. Manager? 40-something thousand?
It was, yeah.
About $40,000.
50,000.
So I could have done what every other municipality did, like Bloomfield, like Newark, and make the township expend that money for filters. I chose not to do that. I chose to put up a website at my own expense, appeal to residents to fill out this petition. They got it. The township has a copy of the database. I then went on a limb because the state would still not give us water filters. I went out and actually raised about $45,000. 20,000 or so from Claire Moss, 20,000 or so from the city of Newark. Money that's not being paid back. We got filters and we gave filters for free for every single person. I don't see a compliment in Mr. Sheldon's comment at all, but I'm failing to see why this was a bad thing. Next.
Next is Victor Mafucci, from 61 Continental Avenue. Let's see, the subject of the $513,915.70 appropriation for retiree benefits occurs in multiple places in the agenda.
You're Mr. Mafucci?
Yes, and the first one is 12304 and 12320. Yes, two.
I don't have the two. Okay. So I don't have it, but, oh, there it is.
You got it?
You're reading
The one from?
the subject line of.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
If my comment and questions are not stated in all these occurrences, then please read them during public comments. The first appearance is on page 4 under 73. The second is on page 9 under 8C1. The third is on page 10 under 8E3. My comment and questions are, the type of occurrence has happened several times in the past. Is there funds for this expenses? Is it underfunded? Is there normally a line item in the budget to support this fund?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Manager. This is the employee buyout.
Yes.
So this is something that's really never been done in Belleville, has it? To the best of my
To the best of
knowledge?
my knowledge, this is the first one we were able
So-
to negotiate successfully.
So, Mr. Mafucci, we basically have employees that are nearing retirement, that are obviously in the top end of the pay scale. One of the manager's many cost-saving measures that we never seem to get credit for is the fact that he approached most of these employees, decided that with a buyout, whether they get to keep some sick time or vacation time, whatever it was, some nominal small number, would they be willing to retire early? He got many of them to say yes. So much so that buyout cost us $500,000. We are bonding that over 5 years. The nice part about that is those salaries probably amount to how much a year?
$400,000 next year.
Right. So it's costing us $500,000 to basically, round numbers, save $500,000 per year going forward, and every year that 500 would tick up because of raises and steps and everything else. So for a one-time cost of $500,000. We are saving $500,000 on average a year going forward, and most of those employees are not being replaced, I'm told, correct?
Probably 95%.
Although I welcome the initial game, if we get initials next time for people getting these raises. I like playing that game. I usually know who they are. It's never true, never accurate, but So yes, to answer your question, Mr. Fucci, this has never been done this way before. It's a brand-new thing brought to us by our township manager. We applaud his effort in shaving $500,000 off next year's budget and those budgets going forward. So the rest of your questions, is there a fund for this expense? No, we're bonding it over 5 years. So basically to pay out $500,000, it's gonna cost us $100,000 a year, but we save $500,000 a year. No such thing as being underfunded, and no, there's not normally a line item to support this fund. I got that all right? I'm pretty good.
Very good.
Next one is, who is Imagina Kozlenko?
I believe Mr. Mafucci saw that on a communication from one of the meetings previous. It was just an email that was sent to me, and my response to her was included as a communication to the members of the council.
On page 6, consent agenda number 8, what does Insight Media, Street Media do?
So for 20 years, I know this because I was here when we did this deal 20 years ago with our bus shelters. The bus shelters have advertising. It's supposed to be a revenue share. We don't get much money from it. We get a little bit of money from it. I think our township attorney was curious about it. We looked into the contract. We realized the company had been defunct for a while, and basically this is a new contract with a bus shelter company. We do share in some of the advertisement revenue, correct?
Yes, what happened was, different companies, we entered into a contract that I think expired in 2010. And with a different company, it's been 2 or 3 or 4 different companies since the township entered into a contract with it. Somehow it came up, and I don't exactly remember how, but the township manager then negotiated with me to increase the revenue from 10% to 25% of their advertising revenue. They maintain the areas, they maintain the shelters, they post advertisements in there, and we share in the revenue. And we get the benefit of not having to maintain them. And I think one of the reasons was, I think Anthony can confirm this, there was some graffiti on them and things like that, which somebody complained about. Anthony tracked down the contract, got in touch with them and said, well, and then we looked at the contract and said, wait a second, it's been expired for however many years, and then at the same time negotiated an additional 15%. But it's not a significant.
No, we don't get much money. A couple $1,000 a year. Couple $1,000 a year.
No, that's, Steve's right on point. The revenue that we received in the prior contract was $500 a year, or it was something low. But if you take a look at the New Jersey Transit bus shelters versus these, we have a better ability to maintain them and keep them clean.
Item number 3.
On page 7, consent agenda number 17, what bylaws are being changed?
I believe it's a wording change from public commenting to public participation. I think it's just one of these, it's a word change, right? Yeah, just a word change. Next.
Matter drawn, 95 Bell Street. Resolution number 4, why do you need an attorney for labor negotiations? We have a town manager, town attorney. This is unnecessary spending. Has any member of the governing body ever received a donation from this firm? Did the council meet with this law firm in a private, personal meeting?
Why do you need a lawyer for labor? Because you bring in a specialized labor attorney to deal with labor. Our township attorney is astute enough on most municipal matters, but he does not handle the intricacies of labor contracts and labor negotiations. Every single time we negotiate with every single one of our labor unions, we use a labor counsel. But that said, we did not meet with him. This was a company brought in by the manager, but I believe we're taking action on this. I'm not sure this is gonna go there. Anything else?
On August 18th, September 18th meeting, I asked the same questions about who was in position to move into the clerk's office and how many of campaign supporters are now employed by the township.
I think I answered that was 3, but.
Why do you avoid my questions? You are violating my.
I just answered the question. I answered it last time by saying I believe 3.
Again, what did the council vote to approve the time change of meeting to 5 p.m.? Or was this a one-person change order?
Madam Clerk, I believe the council was polled prior to our first ever 5 o'clock meeting.
Correct.
Was every single council member gotten a hold of, or maybe somebody was sick or not available for the phone call, or?
The email went out to the entire council.
Email went out to everybody. every council member had an opportunity to weigh in, not that all council members look at their email or weigh in.
Guess we have two agendas here tonight. Is it because the meetings were not properly advertised by law? When are 4 of you council members going to stop this madness? The mayor only has limited powers according to the Faulkner Act. We do live in the USA, not the USSR.
Not quite sure why having multiple agendas is my problem. Not only am I head of the complaint department, I am blamed for everything bad that happens. Everything good that happens, I can't take any credit for, because then I'm a dictator. But if anything bad happens, no matter what happens, it's my fault. So, and I think we answered that question about the notice for the last 2 meetings. Anything else?
That is it.
Okay.
Close public comment?
I have a motion on the table to close public comments. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We're out of public comments. I think we're barreling down here on the end. Consent agenda. I have several. So,
You want to pull a bunch, right?
thank you, Steve. Yes, I'm getting there. I gotta turn my page before I can announce the ones I want to pull. So I am going to ask, so let me just begin by pulling the ones that I normally pull, which are 9, 10, and 11. And 8, that's a club license, that's the same thing? All right, I'm pulling 8, 9, 10, and 11. I'm also, that's me pulling them, I'm also gonna ask for a motion to table resolution number 4. I don't normally make motions, so I'm gonna ask somebody to make that motion. I think that the intent of everything that this council's doing collectively as cost-saving measures is having a really good effect, including what I believe is the council's intent on resolutions 14 through 21. We are directing the manager on all kinds of things to continue the early retirement incentive program, number 14. Number 15, to review private health insurance first moving to the state. Number 16, the elimination of the insurance opt-out program. Number 17, begin discussions with certain labor unions with regard to voluntary furloughs. Number 18, review car allowance. Number 19, explore shared service agreements, which you saw on a previous item on this agenda. We're already moving forward on that. Item number 20, regional services. Item number 21, explore selling. So there's 7 or 8 resolutions there that are literally directing the manager to go forward with cost-saving measures. I think he's had some early conversations with our unions. I think our unions understand the financial situation and distress that we're in. 1, because of lack of revenue or unanticipated revenue. 2, because of COVID. I'm told that the manager's having fruitful conversations with the unions, and I think that at this point we tap the brakes and take this off and table it for maybe future consideration if need be. That's where I'm at.
You need a motion to table 4?
After all of that, yes, I do need a motion. Wait,
Mayor, can I vote?
actually,
On the motion?
no. All right, hold on. Once there's a motion on the table, you gotta call a vote. Go ahead. Yeah, Councilman Graziano wants to speak.
Yeah, no, I wanted to talk about, number 4. I want to talk about resolution 4, meaning why table it, why not take it off? Because town manager's been doing a great job, like we said, and I really believe through accountability, holding directors and people accountable, we can continue to move forward with doing things that we need to do. You know, like looking at the resolution, you know, we're gonna be paying somebody to do the job, understood. When we can start documenting, holding people accountable across the board. That's over every union, no matter who's doing what. So that's how I'm looking at it. Why table it? Why not take it off?
So,
What do we do?
we were gonna do a motion to table. Usually, motion to table with a second immediately goes for a vote, but there was a motion, there was no second, so we didn't have to go for a vote on that. Councilman Graziano is saying that, basically repeating a lot of some of what I said, that the unions are working with the manager and such. I'm okay with removing it or deleting it or voting it, as long as this governing body's open to reconsidering it. If the manager comes back to us in a month or two and says, listen, I'm not getting anywhere, we need to take another stab at this. As long as we're open to considering that, I'm okay with doing either one, tabling it or removing it.
Do you just want to vote on it and vote it down? Is that what you're looking for?
Well, if you agree with what I just said, sure.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
All right, so we're gonna pull it, and then we're gonna have another little chat about it. How about that?
Yep.
All right, so let's do this. Does anybody else have anything else? Hearing none, I'm gonna make a motion to vote on the consent agenda without 4, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
I'll give you a motion.
Second.
Motion made and second. Clerk call, actually, all in favor of the consent agenda?
Aye.
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 Everybody's good. So, we were gonna entertain a motion to table. Councilman Graziano is interjecting that he is okay with, us just voting it down for now. I'm okay with that. I mean, I was in favor of passing, so, and then having that as a tool of the manager to use as he negotiates. But if we were gonna table it, I was okay with it. If we wanna just, don't like the optics of tabling it and wanna take it off, as long as we're willing to publicly reconsider that based on the mayor's direction in the near future. What'd I say, Mayor? I'm okay with that. So let's just call a vote.
Motion to move it right now?
Yes, so we have a motion made to move it. Need a second?
Second.
Motion made and second to move it. A no vote would be, I think, the direction that we want to go on this.
Exactly.
Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
No.
DePena?
No.
Graziano?
No.
No is the way you want to go.
Confusing.
Notari?
No.
Rovell?
No.
Strumelob?
No.
Mayor Mellon?
No.
Resolution's defeated.
We're going to need a motion to move 8, 9, 10, and 11 as bulk.
Let's move 8, 9, 10, and 11.
I gotta abstain too, just.
Which one?
Number 9.
All right.
If you move them all, I'll abstain for one.
All right. 5 votes does it. Okay, so we have a motion made in second to move 8, 9, 10, 11.
Second.
We do have a motion made in second. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Cosarelli?
Abstain.
DePena? DePena? DePena?
Naomi.
Gremlins.
Naomi?
Unmute.
I can see her frantically trying to unmute. Wait, is that Naomi? Is that you?
She may disconnect by accident.
How do I call it at the end?
Do we need her? Hold on, let's count the votes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Notari?
Yes.
Rovell?
Yes.
Strumelob?
Yes.
Mayor Mellon?
Abstain. 2 abstains, 4 yeses, we're good.
We're good.
Okay, well, we want to make sure gremlins or aliens didn't get Councilwoman. New business, hearing
She
none?
got disconnected.
New business, hearing none?
I just got something real quick for new business, and I want to say the same thing you guys are saying. I have the full faith in the manager and the assistant manager at this point, but I would like to explore, consulting fees and agreements to see if we can suspend some of that stuff and maybe save some money as well. And I appreciate if the manager would look into that. That's all I'm asking.
And any specific consulting or?
Or renegotiate fees.
Whatever ones we got.
Renegotiate.
Okay.
Yes. And I fully agree that there's too many consultants and wasting too much money.
Anything specific, Councilwoman?
No.
No. Okay. You have your marching orders, Mr. Manager. Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourned.